Welcome to the Millionaires mini-series with your hosts Stephanie Keith and Stacy Failing, here to set you up with the most luxurious version of yourself. This podcast is filled with wealthy women vibes and a sneak peek into the millionaire's lifestyle. Whether your inner millionaire's dreams of taking private jets to deserted islands or you prefer the lighter side of luxury, we have an opportunity for you that is priceless.
Come join us as we share with you all of our juicy money secrets, mindset hacks, and so much more. Money may not buy happiness, but it can provide you with an abundant life beyond your wildest dreams. So turn up the volume, adjust your crown, and get ready to embrace your inner millionaires. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the Millionaires podcast. We have a special guest with us today. Hanna Bier comes to us today as a family constellation coach, life coach, and she's all about helping women step into manifesting. So welcome, Hanna. Do you want to just introduce yourself and expand on that a little bit?
Absolutely. Thanks so much for having me. My name is Hanna. I'm half American, half German. I live in Germany. It's like the sound of music here. It's so beautiful. It's all like rolling hills and old churches, and just want to be up on a hill and sing all day long, which is something that I do sometimes. When I'm not doing that, I'm running a business. I'm known for a method called Money Bliss, where I help women across the world heal their relationship with money from the inside out at a very deep level so they can feel free and happy and prosperous and just have money figured out for the rest of their lives. Many of my clients double, triple, even 10x their incomes when we work together, grow their savings to six figures and beyond, start a new business, grow their existing business, transition to a new career. So I love helping women with their money. So hopefully if they ever want to just be up on a hill singing on a weekday, that they can do that.
Who doesn't want to do that, right? You know, my dad's side of the family, my dad grew up in Germany, and I was able to go a couple of times, and that's exactly what I thought of. I was like, this looks like a fairy tale. It looks like Beauty and the Beast or something, like where Belle lived. And it was just, I was so blown away because I had no idea how beautiful it was until you're actually like walking through these villages, and very, very cool. But I know everyone that's listening, one of their biggest goals is to heal those money beliefs. And it's something that I think people are aware of, but I don't know that they're aware of all of the specific limiting beliefs that are holding them back, because it is at the subconscious level. So where do you start with people when they tell you, I want to manifest more money into my life, and I've just not been able to do that? And, they start giving you all of those reasons for why it's not possible.
Yeah. So the women who come to us, their problem isn't a lack of talent, a lack of willingness. Their problem isn't that they're not willing to work hard enough, that they're not smart enough, right? Like, let's just settle that straight off the bat. So the question then becomes, if every other area of their lives they're able to figure it out, they're able to get what it is that they want, why is money so often the thing, like the last thing that just doesn't feel good? And for many of my clients, maybe yours as well, they come to me and they say, it really feels like banging my head into a wall. I can succeed in all areas of my life. If something's not working, I'm going to read a book. I'm going to go hire a therapist or a coach or take a course, and I can figure it out. But how come money still feels like this thing? It's like invisible hands are guiding my money in directions that I just don't want. And I know what to do. I've read all the books and I've done all the things, and yet it's infuriating. That's often how my clients feel when they first come to this work. And that's when many of us do question, is it me? Is it that maybe I'm not as smart as I thought I was, or maybe I'm not destined to be a success, or maybe it's just not meant for me? And I'm so passionate about helping women work on their relationship with money so they can discover that that's not the problem at all. The way I see it, if somebody has really tried everything, if they've done everything that they could have done, and somehow it's still not working, there is a very big missing piece that hardly any of us knows how to address. And for me, that's the family of origin piece. All of us know that our biggest issues come from our family, but hardly anybody has the tools to really work through that and to turn the difficult inheritance that we've received from our family of origin into something positive that helps us grow and prosper.
Yeah, that is so true. That is something that we hear often and that we've all dealt with personally too when we are beginning this journey into manifesting and we see it working for other people. We read the books, like you said, we do the things, and yet we are still getting that pushback from those who are closest to us. And that just becomes a very uncomfortable hurdle because you never want to intentionally upset or go against what the people that are loving and supporting you. But at the same time, it's like I'm trying to create this lifestyle for myself and they're in the way. How do you navigate around that without stepping on toes and hurting people's feelings?
They're like the stars of the show. They've got to be like right in the mix of everything. So I think it's good for them to get that out, get the energy out.
Yeah. And being with other kids too. That's always good.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I was talking with Sylvia and I want to have her come on the podcast as well. So
cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry. And thank you for your patience.
No, that's okay. We get it.
Yep.
We're in it.
Do you guys edit this? So can we just continue or should we start over?
Yeah, no, I'm going to just cut that whole section out. So don't even worry about it. If you want, Steph, go ahead and just kind of get us back into the conversation and then we'll just go from there.
Okay.
Perfect.
What were you in the middle of talking about when we stopped?
We could actually just repeat and I could just trim it a little bit. Like we could cover the same section because Stacy was asking about how to navigate when it feels like our families are a burden to our success, how to navigate that.
Okay.
Yeah. So should we just resume there?
Sure. Yep.
Okay.
So do you want to just
Stacey,
start going over it
again?
Or...
Sure. So let me see. I just asked, when we are on this path to creating success and we have started to begin the manifesting journey, we're reading the books, we're following people, we're doing that work, but then we get the burden of our family's limiting beliefs on us. And that creates this sense that, we're not good enough. We are doing something that goes against their beliefs and it makes us question everything that we're doing and oftentimes just hinders us from creating that abundance and the growth of manifesting. So how can we work around the family without upsetting the family or feeling as if we are disappointing them with what we are doing?
Yeah, I love that question. As human beings, we're wired to belong to our family first. That is our first need. It's more important than to be rich, to be skinny, to be popular, to have everything that we want. Without our family, we wouldn't be here. We wouldn't have life. We are forever indebted to them for even bringing us into this world. And so even though in our Western societies, we like to think that we're individuals, that we can just go off and create our lives as we want to, we often realize later on that it's not that easy, that it's not working, that we can never create success if it goes against our family of origin. Because like I said, no matter how old we are, we always need to belong. And so the family constellation therapy approach, the solution that we suggest is to consciously help you bond with your family in healthy ways. And so for those listening who are currently thinking, oh, yes, I need some help with that, think about how you are like your mom and like your dad, or how you would like to be like them. Like, what do you have in common? I can use my own example. My mom is terrible with money. Like, I am breaking family curses with money big time. And I don't want the same money situation as any one of my family members. It's poverty on my mom's side, poverty on my dad's side. I'm not doing this. And for the longest time, it just felt like invisible hands were guiding my finances back to the same wall set point. And I was doing all the things and it felt infuriating. I was like, am I like cursed? Is there a poltergeist in my life? What is going on? Until I discovered family constellation therapy, and it was so incredibly helpful. So now with my mom, what's really helpful is to think she's adventurous and very strong. I love adventure. She loves traveling. I love traveling. She skis, I snowboard. This is how we bond. And so the more I consciously build the connection and the relationship with my mom in these ways, the less we needed to bond in other ways, and the money thing just kind of fell to the wayside. This is one thing that really helps so many people because we can't escape our parents. So think this clearly not working is to say, I don't want to be like them. I'm going to go do the opposite. Because then we're kind of in this push and pull and we don't actually move anywhere. So we have to find peace for their family of origin first before we can build that success that we want.
I love that you're bringing this up because I feel like so many people in this field, when you start diving into the fact that you have limiting beliefs and you realize that, it's like the first thing our first reaction sometimes is to blame our parents and have all this resentment. But at the end of the day, like it's not their fault. It's not really anyone's fault. They went through the same thing that we're going through. It's just at that point in time, they probably weren't aware of it and didn't have a lot of the tools that are available now to work through that. So I love that you're offering these examples. And again, it's like finding those commonalities and then finding like, what can you be grateful for that they did for you, that doesn't have to do with finances, and go at it from that perspective versus building all of this resentment and blaming. Do you see that a lot with clients, like as a knee-jerk reaction to sort of just do the blame game?
Right, because we think if only my parents could get it, if only they could change, if only they could see, if only they could read the same books, if only they could just, right? But that's just not how it works, because just like we were trapped in the money story of the previous generations, so are our parents and so are our grandparents, and like it goes back, it goes back, it goes back. And so, yes, the blame game definitely doesn't help. And also the reason why, or number one need is to belong to the family of origin is because that's what helps us survive. It's a survival mechanism. And so out of love and loyalty to our family, we're often stuck in money patterns that are just not working. But in a way, there's something really beautiful in there. It can be infuriating if you don't know how to resolve it. But it's actually really, really beautiful. Just like our children kind of follow us around and do everything that we do. It's so beautiful how culture and relationship to money gets passed down. There's also gigantic opportunity here, because if you are able to heal your own relationship with money, it trickles out through the family system. My favorite thing that I hear my clients say all the time is, even before their own money really ramps up, what usually happens is mom gets a pay increase, or dad gets a windfall of money, or the spouse gets a lot of money, or the kids all of a sudden are doing really well. And so my client is like, oh, this is so cool. And this is what I mean. We're connected to our family of origin. And so when one person really begins to heal, it trickles out. And then you don't have to have those conversations anymore, because the people in your life are starting to up level on their own.
Yeah.
I love this. It's like, yeah, you don't have to force it or try to convince someone. It's like when you up level and take care of yourself, that has an impact on everyone around you, really. Sorry, Stacey, what were you going to say?
No, I love that. And not only are you having that trickle down effect, but you're changing generations after you. Like you said, you don't want to have those same money beliefs and those money mistakes that your parents had. Through your own learning and your journey in this, now your children get to see your successes, and then that trickles down into, later generations. So it's really just this whole new way of shifting how we see and feel about money. So how does this, I'm really curious, because we get this a lot too, is when we are, out of the home, and yes, we always want to please our parents, that is a huge aspect, as you had said. What about our immediate family? When we go out and we create our home with our spouse and with our kids, can you use some of those same techniques with a spouse who is as unsupportive or has similar money beliefs to your family of origin?
Yeah. In family constellation therapy, we believe that all members of the family are connected to an energetic field, just like you have your own energy field and your heart has an electromagnetic field. Your family also has an electromagnetic field that we call, in family constellation therapy, we really just call it the field. So if you ever hear family constellation therapy say that word, it just means that we're working with the souls of your family. And when you're married and you have children, or even in a long-term relationship with somebody, that person joins that field of energy that everyone is connected to. In a constellation, which is a healing, we use something that's called the language of love. Those are supposed to be words and sentences that open up the flow of love again. And family constellation therapy is so powerful when it comes to money, because usually the reason why money doesn't flow freely and abundantly is because it correlates to the flow of love between family members. So let's go back to your childhood so I can kind of land this plane and explain, what all of this means. So when you're a child, ideally in your family, love and life force energy would flow freely between members of the family, and it would nourish everyone present. Like everyone would feel nourished and all of their needs would be met, and it would be really nice and harmonious. And so when life force energy is fully open and flowing, later on in life, a person is also very much capable of creating love in the form of money and nourishing themselves using money. Money is a flow of love, a flow of life force energy. And so when there's disruptions in the family system, when traumas have happened, for example, a break in the bond with mom, or dad went to jail, or a parent was really scary or didn't protect you when a sibling was abusive to you, like all of these traumas that are so common in families, if those traumas aren't resolved, it's like there's all these little breaks in the bond between family members, and love, life force energy, and later on money can't really flow. And so since your spouse also belongs to the family of origin, we can also include him in the process of healing. And we can use certain language that's supposed to open up this flow of love again. And we don't talk to his human self, we talk to his soul self. Because in family constellation therapy, we believe that every soul has this desire for harmony, has this desire for balance, has this desire for a beautiful sense of well-being in all aspects. The human versions of us don't often know that that's possible, or we're full of beliefs and thoughts and stories that don't allow us to be conscious of this truth. But when we work with souls, they're usually wide open and they know the truth. So if someone resonates with what you just talked about, Stacy, you can just imagine talking to that person's soul, to your spouse's soul, and you can say, if I were to really be a success with my business, if I were to add another 20,000, 30,000, 40,000 a month to our family income, would you like that? Would that be, and usually the soul says yes. Would you like it if I'm able to take us on vacation? Would you like it if we could fill up our retirement account? Would you like it if we could pay off our house really quickly? Would you like it if you had the freedom to pursue any advances in your own work that you wanted to, because you know that you can take risks now? We're really set. Would you be proud of me if I were to, to meet you in like a very successful place? If I were to even surpass you, would you be proud to have like a badass wife like this? And usually the soul says yes. So that's a really great place to start. If it feels impossible to have these conversations face to face, begin talking to the soul and use some of that language that might resonate.
So if it can apply to spouses, then I'm assuming the same would apply to like a step parent, for example, because they were still a part of the family unit, even though it's not part of your like bloodline, so to speak, right?
Yeah,
Like
the step parent would be a part of the family system in that case as well.
okay, so in cases where there is a lot of trauma or abuse, like how do people work past that? Because I feel like I get so many clients that can't even like think about talking to the person that had caused that trauma or abuse in the past. So are there any tips that you have for someone that's at that point that can kind of like soften that and slowly come into this constellation therapy?
Yeah, that's what I love about constellation therapy, is because so many of us can't actually talk to the people who hurt us. Some of our parents are institutionalized, incarcerated. Some of our parents have passed away. Some of my clients have been adopted. They don't even know their biological parents. So what do we do? But those are the people who most need this work. In family constellation therapy, we talk about the things that matter that most of us don't address because we don't know how to work with it. I did this for years before Money Bliss was something that I was really passionate about bringing to the world. My main thing was trauma resolution. That was what I worked on with my clients, just trauma after trauma after trauma, whether that's incest or death in childbirth or having been adopted or having been abandoned by a parent. We talk about all those very, very difficult fates. Talk about things like abortion, about stillbirths, all of these things that are so common. Every one of us has experienced some sort of trauma. And yet the tools often there's a lack of tools for us to really process it. We also talk about smaller things like just feeling disconnected from your mom, feeling disconnected from dad, feeling like you don't fully belong in the family, like you're a black sheep. The work on the family system, I like to compare it to the soil in your garden. So imagine the life and the success and the wealth that we're trying to build. It's a garden that we're trying to grow. So we're trying to get that oak tree to be really solid and big. And we're trying to get the rose bushes to bloom every spring. And we're trying to get everything to be really fruitful and healthy. But if the soil is toxic, nothing's going to grow. And you can plant as many seeds as you want. You can water them and throw in a lot of fertilizer, and the sun can be really nice and warm, and nothing's going to grow. And it doesn't mean that planting seeds isn't working. It just means that we need to go all the way down to the roots. That is the family system. The good news about family constellation therapy is that we work in the energetic field of your family, which means that people don't have to be present. Nobody has to know that you're doing this work. The family, the soul of the family will feel the healing, and it will ripple out, and people will behave differently. They always do. Parents reach out when they haven't reached out in 10 years. When I did this work, all of a sudden the field told me that I have two older sisters who then got in touch with me. I didn't even do anything. Like, the family wants to come into balance and wants to come into healing. And so yes, if somebody isn't able to be in the same room or doesn't feel comfortable, and even if they were, I believe that family constellation therapy is actually a lot more effective than having conversations. So many of us have tried that over and over and over again. We have not received the results that we really wanted. And I just love family constellation therapy because it can heal the deepest rifts, the deepest wounds, all that stuff that most of us don't know how to even begin to address.
I think that's so key, because I've had, and I know so many of our listeners have had, and I'm sure you have as well, conversations with our loved ones where we're not really trying to change, their beliefs. We're just trying to support our own and getting their support in turn. And so it's really awesome that you said you can nurture your own soil. And so you don't really need to change the mind of anybody else. You don't need to have those conversations to convince somebody of what it is that you're doing. You just have to have enough nutrients in your own garden to be able to create whatever it is, whether that is money bliss, whether that is peace from the trauma or the healing or the connection with people that you have lost touch with, whatever that is. Everything is possible if you can just nurture your own soil and let go of trying to convince everybody else of what it is that you're trying to do in so many different capacities. Is that what I'm hearing you say?
And what a relief, right? Because like Stephanie said, most of us have tried that in abundance, and it's infuriating.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, I just think about, like, with my dad, he has very, very limiting beliefs around money, like to an extreme, but is the type of person that would never like be open to any of this. And there's so many times where I've tried to talk to him and convince him that the law of attraction is real and it works, and it's like very frustrating. So having this type of a technique available where it can do that healing and he's not even aware of it, I think it's genius, because sometimes when people are consciously aware of things, I think their conscious kind of can get in the way and, like, block these changes from happening. So I'm fascinated. How would someone go about getting started with this, and what all, does it entail? Is it a long process? Is it Does it happen gradually over time? Like, what could people expect if they're interested?
Yeah, so the most common way that family constellation therapists work is they do in-person constellations that involve a lot of people. I personally don't work that way because what I work on with clients is so personal, so confidential, it's so private, and it involves many different members of their family. So I work with people one-on-one only. Um, because a lot of stuff, usually in the beginning, like we work on mom, we work on dad, and then the really good stuff shows up. And so just to protect that space a little bit, I don't do group constellations. But for anyone listening, if you research family constellation therapy, the group way of working will be the first thing that you'll find. Don't be put off by that. There is also family constellation therapists who work privately, such as myself. In a constellation, the first thing that I'll do is I'll do a big intake. I'll ask about your relationship to mom, your relationship to dad, relationship to siblings, your own history. And someone is welcome to tell me as much or as little as they feel comfortable to do. You can tell me if you've had an abortion or a miscarriage or a stillbirth, if that feels as the more information that I can get, the faster we can get into the really deep healing work. But even if you don't feel comfortable, the field will reveal to us where we need to go. We always start close to home. We always begin healing your relationship to mom and your relationship to dad, because those are the biggest blocks for people. So just as a reminder, you're half mom, you're half dad. Your parents gave you the greatest gift anybody could have given you, the gift of life. You will feel forever indebted to them, and you will want to follow their footsteps, even at your own detriment. So if we can heal your relationship with mom and dad, they're craving to be close to you just as you're craving to be close to them. The souls of your parents will want you to do life a little better and a little differently than they did. They would want you to be well. They want you to be happy. They want you to succeed. It's the purpose of the younger generation to surpass their parents, to build upon what the parents have been able to provide. And so it's incredibly liberating to have your parents behind you, supporting you, filling you with life force energy, filling you with all that love that you always should have received from them, that you probably didn't, right? So like this hole inside of ourselves that so many of us feel, and this like aching pain, this like break in the bond between mom and dad, like that gets repaired, and people just feel like this like the surge of energy, it fills them up, and it's like a car is like full of gas, and you're able to go forward, and people like feel healthier and stronger and sleep better and have all this peace of mind. And from that place, it's a lot easier to go create everything that you want to create, because you're not doing it in spite of your family, but you're doing it with all of their support. And then we also so remembering that the goal of family constellation therapy is to restore any traumas that have happened so that love and life force energy can flow freely in the family system. From there, we also address any big traumas, incest, any early and tragic deaths, anything at all. If you've had crazy things in your family, you're welcome. If you don't actually know, but your money isn't flowing, that's okay too. There's always something that we can do to open up the flow of love and the flow of money in your life. And it always opens up simultaneously. It's so cool.
That's so beautiful and eye-opening, Hanna. I appreciate you coming on and sharing that. And I am so intrigued. Like, I'm going to go and research this myself when I get off this call. But for anybody that is interested, how can they work with you and connect with you outside of this?
Yeah, so I'm known for a program called Money Bliss. It's a 6-month program where I help women across the world figure out money once and for all. We clear all of their money blocks, we bring their family system into a beautiful state of harmony, and we give them the tools that they need to multiply their incomes, have a lot of money in savings, begin investing, start another company, whatever it is that they want. That to me is like the basic thing that all of us should know how to do. I also work one-on-one with people. So it's usually after Money Bliss that people then come to me and they're like, I also want to do some one-on-one work. And that's usually when we get a little more specific. But yeah, those are the two ways that I work with people. The family piece is always an aspect of what I do. I can't help somebody heal their relationship with money without also healing the deeper traumas and the wounds that have happened in the family.
Spot on. Well said.
And where can everyone find you on social media? Because you have a great Instagram page as well.
Thank you. My Instagram is Hanna Money Bliss. That's Hanna Money Bliss. So my name is spelled without an H. Well, yes, in the beginning, Hanna, Hanna.
And she did an amazing workshop in the Manifest It Now app. So we can link that as well. That was really cool. And I appreciate you coming on there as well and giving your time. But thanks so much for being here. It's so eye-opening. And I am sure that everyone listening is just like nodding, like, oh my gosh, yes, I need this healing, because we all have experienced some of those limitations that are from our family. And I think that, again, this is just a great alternative to some of the other things that are out there that you might not resonate with as much. So I really appreciate you talking about this with us.
Yeah, thank you so much, Hanna.